All right, good evening, everybody. Oh, man. Oh, man. Good evening, everybody. I know they're bringing the soup out. I see a couple folks here at this table. They got the spoon in the hand. I'm sorry to interrupt. You know, you're digging into the soup and everything. But welcome to Reset 180's Keys to Freedom event tonight. I think that's a good, yeah. I like energy in the room. Love the energy in the room. We're ready to have a good night tonight, right? That's right. So I'm Claude Jennings from WGTS 91.9. And it may have been, 5 years, Kay, where I was first introduced to Reset 180 over some radio interviews and things like that. And just immediately from the interviews and speaking with Kay and her team, I just became like super connected with it and started doing like call centers with my church and stuff like that. And this is the third year that I've been at the gala and really looking forward to a wonderful evening. And so the evening tonight has been designed to express appreciation for everyone who's been partners with Reset 180 in these efforts to give in an effort to give you also an introduction to what Reset 180 is all about for anyone who may be new to see what the ministry does to lead those who are captive to sex and labor trafficking here in the DMV region. And one of the things that stood out to me was when I first met Kay, was, it's really a big issue and it's happening right here in our backyard, and, you can do two things. You can try to ignore it and act like it's not happening, or you can roll your sleeves up and you can join efforts like these to make sure that we fight these. And so I think you all should give yourselves a round of applause and a little pat on your back. I'm gonna give you permission tonight to pat yourself on the back for partnering with Reset 180 to make this happen. And the last year and a half, last 2 years, we saw a lot of different changes in life and the way that we do things. But the great thing is that some things stayed the same, right? And one thing that stayed the same is the work that happens at Reset 180, that we're community united in our belief that human trafficking cannot exist in our neighborhoods, right? And that the survivors of sex trafficking, that they deserve the best services and best support, and that's what Reset 180 provides on a consistent basis, no matter what changes happen. We can clap that up too. It's gonna be a lot of clapping tonight, everybody. I like clapping. There's gonna be a lot of that tonight. So we miss being with everybody here in person, but want to thank everyone for joining us virtually. Later on, I want to figure out what everybody's having to eat at their virtual celebrations, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Get ready to type that into the social chats, and I think Amanda's going to keep me updated, not just with donations, but also with what everyone's eating tonight at their virtual events. And we're in this room together. It's real classy. I'm just going to bring the class level down a little bit because I started before I got a chance to eat my soup. So if someone can get like a carry-out box for me for later on, so I can take my soup and the food home with me, because that's the classy thing to do, is not to ask for the box. My wife is shaking her head now. She's like, I can't believe he's asking for it. But I want it to go box. You know what I mean? And so we'll do that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've got to go with it. If it's good, I've got to go with it. You're right. So we've got a great evening planned for you tonight. Really excited about it. We're going to share stories about the lives our work has impacted this year. But first, I want to recognize the host committee who made this evening possible. At graduations, they tell you to wait until after they say all the names and then clap. We're not doing that here, okay? So after every single name that I say, because the work wouldn't go on without them, right? So after every single name I say, you've got to clap, okay? It wouldn't bother me if you cheer. You may not want to use a bullhorn, but just thank these people, all right? Matthew Yao, Esquire, partner at World Dahlberg and Yao PLLC. That's what I'm talking about. Kip Gardner, Co-Efficiency Capital Partners. Jean Alert, founder and executive director, the Samaritan Women's Institute of Shelter Care. Former Representative Frank Wolf. Sherry Cooper, Hilton Alexandria Old Town. And also Mark Blackman, Clark Construction Group, LLC. All right, so now allow me to introduce you to Chelsea Trevino. She is the co-host tonight and Director of Finances and Reset 180's board member. Chelsea, come on.
Well, thank you so much to everyone that is here. There's a lot of people that I recognize faces, but there's a lot that I don't. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here. It takes all of us to do this work. It takes all of us to have our piece of the pie and make this happen. And I thank you so much for being here. When I was first exposed to the issue of human trafficking, I lived in Houston. About 2012 is when I learned that human trafficking was not a third world problem. It was a US problem just as much as anywhere else. And when I learned of that in Houston and moved to Northern Virginia, I realized it was a problem here too. How could that be? I had so many questions, but I knew that my fight was not over when I left Houston and I came to Northern Virginia. I started volunteering with the prayer team first off. I was just trying to find a place that I could pray with people that had the same heart. And then I started volunteering, and I quickly learned that as Reset180, then Northern Virginia Human Trafficking Initiative, I knew that the 3 pillars they were building out of disrupt, prevent, disrupt, and restore, that's exactly what I wanted to do. That's exactly a part of an organization that I wanted to be involved with. Throughout this evening, I'm going to share different ways that you can get involved and how your financial gift will change lives, impact lives. As I said before, it takes all of us. There's so many different needs that we have as Reset180, from the beginning to stop the demand all the way to the end and restore the lives that are impacted. I'd like to now bring your attention to the screen and some of the ways that your financial gift can help us here at Reset180, prevent, disrupt, and restore. As they were mentioned before, Amanda leads our amazing prevention team. We educate the community through the Speakers Bureau, which continually develops new material on gang trafficking, trauma-informed therapy, and so many other issues to help the community understand what's going on. She provides resources to those that want to be an abolitionist, who want to learn more and make an impact, to churches. We provide education to law enforcement and others. And of course, we reach our vast audience through social media. Your donation can help our disruption team. Did you know that in the last 30 days of today, within a 50-mile radius, 3,694 victims, individuals, were sold online for sexual services? Just in the last 30 days. Our team uses a cutting-edge technology to reach out to those victims that are being sold online. This software goes out, scrubs different websites, and thankfully we have been able to send over 1,200 texts to those that are being sold online. Almost 100 of them have responded, and 15 have asked for resources. Without that team, we could not reach them. Sex buyer outreach is also, yes, absolutely. Our sex buyer outreach is one of the first in the United States to go after the demand. This is a demand and supply chain. If there is no demand, there would be no supply of women that would be sexually exploited. Our sex buyer outreach team goes out onto the parking lots of these brothels, IMBs, as the buyers are coming and going for no other reason to offer grace and love. We offer them resources for sexual addiction and just let them know that their identity is not a sex buyer. Their identity is a child of God. And we want to be able to provide that encouragement for them. In some of the research we've done, in Fairfax County alone, we know of 114 brothels just in Fairfax County. And we also know that on an average, 558 sex buyers will visit those brothels every day. So our job as Christians, as the church, as Reset180, is to meet with them, offer grace-filled conversations, and let them know that even in the parking lot of an IMB, even in the parking lot of a brothel, Jesus loves them. Yeah. Jesus loves them. And last, but of course not least, is our restoration team, case managers, and all that goes into providing restoration for those impacted. To this day, we've served 750 victims and survivors. We offer trauma-informed therapy, basic necessities that they need, job training, and so much more. In 2020, during the pandemic of COVID, we were able to serve 23 survivors and increase our support for them as they went through COVID just like the rest of us. And this year to date, we've been able to serve 28 victims. I could tell you story after story after story of these survivors gaining confidence, getting prepared to go to a job interview. So many things that we kind of take for granted, they are excelling at. They are becoming the children that God has created them to be, and they're doing it with confidence. We could not do that. We could not do that without the support of the people in this room, everyone that is viewing online. It takes all of us. And lastly, just $20. If you look at the screen in front of you, from the small to the big, did you know $20 a month can provide basic necessities for a survivor? Many times law enforcement will call us when they're doing a sting or other operations so that we can come alongside law enforcement and do what they can't. They have law enforcement responsibilities and their hands are tied for certain reasons. They have their role, and Reset 180 has our role as well. You could be the key to offering them toiletries so they could take a hot shower. They could have a meal because you give just even $20 a month. Any gift of any size makes significant impacts. You are the key. You are the key that moves us forward. We are Reset 180, and you are Reset 180.
Thanks a lot, Chelsea. She did a really good job of laying out just how important the work is and just how important, your support is to Reset 180. Now, as I mentioned before, we have people who are joining us virtually from all around the DMV and all around the country, really, which is one of these hidden blessings from the way we do things now, where you can have just a wider reach, than what you've had before. So let's take a look at some of the watch parties that are joining us live. Let's see, we've got Kay's watch party in Alexandria. That's us. Let's see, we've got Redeeming Grace Church. They've got a watch party there. Redeeming Grace, people there on the screen. Let's see, we've got the Gate Church in Oakton, their watch party. Oh, yeah. And we also have the Reston watch party. Now, here's the thing. Whether you're one of these watch parties that I've mentioned or not, what I'd like you to do in the social little chat box there, type in your snacks and what you're eating for dinner. And if you have whoever's got the best menu, so Amanda, we'll make sure that we monitor that closely, okay? And Chelsea and I will judge your menus, and we will decide who wins. And whoever has the best meal tonight, you'll win this. I can't come through on that promise. I'm just saying it. It's going to be up to Kay to make sure it happens. Okay, so whoever has the best meal, your watch party is going to win this. And if you have any issues, just call Kay, not me. I'm just making a promise. I don't know if she can actually do it. It's going to work or not. Let's see. So as you know, we also had a silent auction, by the way, leading up to this event. Now, the auction today closed at noon, so you can't bid on anything else. But if you were the highest bidder on that item, it is my kind duty to remind you that you got to pay for it. And so you got to, because that's not bidding on things, Chelsea. You've got, and so if you bid on that item and you're the highest bidder, you got to pay for it tonight before 9 o'clock. I'll make sure that at 9 o'clock, I will remind you that it is now 8:58. It is now 8:59, and then we'll do the 9 o'clock, and then you have to pay for it. But we've got a lot of exciting things happen. And by the way, speaking of exciting things that just happened, and at our watch parties, if you're there, please get into it. We want high fives, we want hugs, chest bumps, all this. Watch this. 2 generous donors tonight. A match just came in, right? $25,000 donation. $25,000 donation from ESI Total Fuel Management. Thank you guys so much. So that's one of the big surprises, right? The second one, we'll just roll them back to that. The second one, a $50,000 donation, from Restore the Foundation. So it's already a great night, isn't it? Be sure again to send those snack things to Amanda. I don't see nobody said anything yet. Okay, that's fine. So we're happy about those 2 donations tonight. Things are off to a great start. For those who are new to Reset 180, let me explain a little. We're a Christian organization whose mission is to prevent human trafficking and commercial sex exploitation, to disrupt related networks and restore those impacted. So those are the 3 pillars: prevent, disrupt, restore. And so you will hear ministry update in that order. Okay. So first ministry update is from the first pillar, prevent.
At a recent awareness event, we had an attendee ask many questions during our presentation. They truly had a desire to learn more about trafficking. After the event, the attendee signed up to become an abolitionist, being a key to help provide Reset 180 with the resources to enable us to continue serving survivors and meeting their needs. When you become an abolitionist, you donate $30 or more a month. That's around 6 cups of Starbucks coffee to change a survivor's life. This attendee went on to donate gift cards, which in turn supported one of our survivors who was homeless and in need of groceries. Inspired by the impact they had made, this attendee then took the time to gather items and put together gift bags for our survivors. And finally, this very same attendee decided to participate in one of our awareness campaigns, in turn educating others on human trafficking. Their dedication, passion, and generosity of time and goods impacted Reset 180 survivors desperately in need. This is the impact one person can have on someone's life after becoming aware of local human trafficking, all from becoming aware that the problem even existed. This is the impact that you can have on someone's life. John Cotton Richmond, who held the highest position in federal government dedicated to combating human trafficking, said, "Only 0.5 of human trafficking victims are identified in the world." So let us be vigilant. Let us take care of our community and let us spread awareness so we can be the key to defend the rights of those who need it most. We are available to do in-person and virtual presentations. Visit reset180.com/speaker to reserve your spot today to become a key to freedom in your community.
Wow. Thank you so much, Amanda. As you can see, as she just laid out, prevention education is incredibly powerful in the work as we equip the community to stop human trafficking even before it begins. So the next pillar is disrupt.
Hi, I'm Susie Kuma, and I'm a volunteer on the Sex Buyer Outreach team.
And I'm Bob Dagnus, the coordinator for Reset 180 Buyer Outreach. The aim of this team is to meet sex buyers outside of illicit massage businesses and have grace-filled conversations about sex trafficking and to share the message of Jesus Christ. While we're out there, the Reset 180 prayer team, consisting of approximately 35 volunteers, praying live as we give them specific prayer updates from the field. We also provide resources for sexual addiction recovery. Here's the good news. Many of the men we talk to, a vast majority of them, are open to hearing us. Many stop, they don't go in, and most thank us and leave. We go out and we ask them, hey, do you know what's going on inside this illicit business? We don't accuse, we don't yell, and we're not confrontational. We are focused on stopping, at least for that night, on that spot, in that moment, an evil and cruel business. Our goal on outreach is to connect one local church with one illicit business and get them to stop exploiting other people and sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ.
One of the most memorable evenings I had while on Sex Buyer Outreach was when we spoke to a man, and I'm going to call him David. It was extraordinary. On this very cold and dark evening in the middle of a parking lot in Herndon, we struck up a conversation with him, and he participated. I expected him to walk past us into the business, but he actually engaged in the conversation gently and patiently as we explained the reality of human trafficking that gripped the women inside. It felt like the epitome of an evangelistic moment. David was someone who was not familiar with the church. He grew up in a fairly broken household with a fractured relationship with his sister, I remember. He bore the entirety of this heartbreak to us with minimal prompting, compelling me to believe that the Holy Spirit was there in his vulnerability. We spoke for over 45 minutes about his life, his background, his hopes, his dreams. We spoke to him about the gospel, who Jesus is, and the plans God wants to fulfill through him. And David listened. He listened intently as we spoke. At the end of the conversation, based on the information that we shared about the reality of sex trafficking occurring at this illicit business, he turned around and he got back in his car and he went home without going in. God knows the deepest human need. He knows that it's intimacy and that can only be found in him. I think David received God's intimacy that night through that conversation. God orchestrated his steps and fulfilled his need to be fully known, patiently heard, and deeply loved by bringing him to an empty parking lot in Herndon. An interaction that made purchasing sex completely needless. As a result, the illicit massage business had less customers purchasing sexual services, and the women inside had a few hours free of exploitation. It's a win for the kingdom. Praise God.
At the time of this recording, we've had over 200 of these such conversations. Join us and be part of the key to a sex buyer finding freedom. Visit reset180.com and find out how to be part of this team.
I also want to share with you about our phone texting outreach. We know that the illicit massage businesses are not the only place sex buyers are purchasing victims for sex. Another common ritual is for men to visit sites online where they can see pictures and videos of victims to purchase in Northern Virginia for sexual services. In 1 month, over 650 individuals are advertised in our region for sexual services. 84% of criminal sex trafficking cases use the internet to sell their victims for sex. If the sex buyer can find them, so can we. Via our phone outreach, we have the opportunity to utilize phone numbers where people are being sold online in Northern Virginia and text them to provide resources they need to break free. During a recent evening of phone outreach, the team sent out texts to a batch of phone numbers from websites where women sold for sex. I'd like to share with you one of the texts that the team received back. This text message was from a woman who had been inspired after receiving a message including a link to the Reset180 website and checking out the website to see the work that Reset180 does. She texted, "It's crazy how things work out. I finally took some time and read about what Reset180 is about. I myself have been in the sex trade business for 5 years plus. It's something in my life that I want to stop doing and change my life because I miss my kids and they need me and I need them. I'm currently living in hotels. One guy burned down my trailer. And then I had a car that broke down and got towed. I've been robbed and been on the streets. I do have an addiction, just so I don't feel much pain and guilt, shame and disappointment in myself for how I'm living. I would not want my kids to someday think that this is something they can do for fast money or think it's fun. It's not. It's more stressful doing this than working a real job. It's not a coincidence that you texted me because I've been praying to God for new change in my life." Reset180 is able to provide individuals like this with resources towards freedom. This outreach costs a minimum of $500 a month. Won't you partner with us today and be a key to someone's freedom?
Wow. See, and that's the thing about the sex buyer outreach. I mean, if you ever wondered about Reset180's commitment to do what it takes, I mean, to go to one of these places and camp out in the parking lot and intercept buyers as they come in, you know what I mean? Like, that's how you know that, yeah, they're serious about the work. I mean, just not the confrontation aspect of it, but with grace and with, forgiveness, and you don't, without the yelling and the screaming and the putting down, but, God loves you even while you're here, for this reason. So incredible work there on the demand side as Reset180 does outreach to those local brothels. What we know that we don't do something regarding the demand, the atrocity of human trafficking will not go away. So human trafficking is the only industry in which the supply and demand are the same exact thing. Wow, right? People demanding the sale of people. Also, excellent work on the outreach to victims in our community as well. So great work there with the sex buyer outreach. The third pillar is restore.
Our third pillar is restoring the lives of the survivors. We have been honored to touch the lives of over 700 victims and survivors. Let me share a story with you. One day, I had invited one of the survivors we served to lunch. It was not our normal case management meeting. I just wanted to spend a little extra time with her. We were in a cute little cafe at lunchtime and had just sat down with our food. The cafe was full of other people who were enjoying themselves. And the survivor got quiet and looked around at the people in the cafe. Then she said to me, "I bet all these people are wondering what you are doing here with someone like me. Her statement caught me by surprise, but I appreciated her vulnerability in the moment. You see, for over a decade, this survivor had been controlled by a trafficker. He told her when to eat, when to sleep, and made sure she sold her body for his profit. She had endured abuse that I won't even share here. Since her earliest childhood memories, all she could remember was abandonment, rejection, abuse, and being forced to sell her body, numbing herself with drugs and alcohol so she wouldn't have to remember the pain and the trauma. On this day, in this busy cafe, she was honest about how she felt. And she felt safe enough with me to question the thoughts that she was having about everyone in the cafe. So I began to speak truth over her, about her being created for a purpose and her true value, her true identity. These are the moments that Reset 180 is gifted the opportunity to come alongside and provide the consistent relationships this survivor and so many others need, and remind them of their worth, to remind them just what they are capable of and that they are not on this journey alone. Today, this survivor is stable. She has a safe place she can call home. She continues receiving therapy, groceries, transportation, emotional support, vocational training, trained mentor, and so much more. Your partnership makes this possible. Your partnership is the key that transforms lives.
Wow, thank you, Kay. And thank you so much to all of our partners who make a huge difference in the lives of the survivors that we serve. Now, last year, we shared about the vital need for a safe shelter for survivors in our area and our plans to build a shelter in Midland, Virginia. So thanks to our partnership with Dayspring Mennonite Church, next we will hear from a survivor leader and Reset 180 board member, Barbara Jean Wilson, on the housing program.
I am Barbara Jean Wilson, a survivor of child sex trafficking and a current board member with Reset 180. I was trafficked by my own mother starting at the age of 8 years old. I got pregnant at the age of 15, and my mom kicked me out of the house. I was young, homeless, and a new mom. The only thing I knew to do was what I had learned at home, sell my body. So I began to prostitute myself just to be able to have rent and food money for me and my baby. I needed assistance, but none was to be found. My story is similar to the survivors that Reset 180 serves today. Once they are identified as survivors of human trafficking, they need comprehensive services that include safe shelter. Safe shelter is the largest gap in services for survivors of human trafficking. Northern Virginia has 0 residential programs specifically trained to serve young adult human trafficking survivors with or without children. We have learned that survivors must feel safe before they can begin to heal from trauma. Thanks to Dayspring Mennonite Church, we have land and plan to break ground early next year, but we need your help to make this dream come to fruition for survivors. We can't wait to begin to invite survivors into our shelter. Envision us starting each morning by gathering around a large dining room table to have devotional time together, eating our meals together as family, survivors attending class during the weekday so they can continue their education, going to counseling sessions and groups, enjoying fun outings, and living life together. We can't wait to open this home and offer this safe refuge for survivors. We want to invite you to be a part of building this home.
Barbara Jean, it is such an honor, and I'm so blessed to call you my friend. We are so thankful for your leadership on the Reset 180's board member, the knowledge that you give us, the path that you lead us down for Reset 180's board member to really help us to understand from a survivor's perspective who we need to be. So thank you, Barbara Jean, for your support. You've now heard from our staff, our volunteers for what we're doing out in the community. You probably have been thinking, yes, I can be a part of that. Yes, I can volunteer. And we invite you to join us. And I also want to challenge you and invite you to give this evening financially. We are excited to break ground, and that support is needed by the community. Just like Barbara Jean, when she was homeless, she didn't have anywhere to go. She was trying to provide for her baby. And the single thing that she didn't have in order for her to escape the life is she didn't have somewhere to go. She didn't have a safe place to sleep at night. She didn't have a safe place that she could go for every support that she might have, from basic necessities to just being able to be with someone without judgment and without ridicule. In the next few minutes, we're going to watch some partner videos that are already partnering with us, both financially and other ways. As you look at your screen, the bottom of your screen, there's a QR code. Just simply scan it with your phone, and it'll take you to our donor page. Fill out your information, your contact information, how you would like to donate through credit or debit card. And if you would like to stay anonymous, feel free to write the note in there, but we will be announcing donors as they come in this evening. We are so excited for what God's going to do through you, through people in this room, through those that are watching virtually. Together, we are really going to make an impact for those that are most impacted related to human trafficking. If you do need any tech support, you can email keys2freedom@reset180, and someone will be there to help you. As we move into this giving, I want to share a quote with you. And this quote was actually given to us by a detective that we work with in Prince William County. The quote is by Desmond Tutu, and it says, "There comes a point when we need to stop just pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in." That is so impactful. That's why our pillars of prevent, disrupt, and restore are critical from the beginning to the end of what we call human trafficking. We all need to be a part of those pieces. Our partnership with law enforcement, with nonprofits, with you, with churches, it takes all of us to stop human trafficking in this area. And so I would like to challenge you. I would like to challenge you of what you can give this evening. And I want to start with $10,000. There are some that are listening that can make that happen. You're in a financial position, and I challenge you to do that. I challenge you to do that for survivors, for buyers of sex outreach. And thank you so much for the $75,000 match. We couldn't do it more. And as Claude had mentioned, that literally just came in this afternoon, literally came in. So as we listen to our first video with Bob and Patty Houston, pray about what God would have you give. Where does he want you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Bob Houston.
And I am Patty Houston. Both Bob and I are retired FBI agents. We have supported Reset 180 financially for about 5 years. I also have volunteered at various Reset 180 events to include phone outreach to trafficking victims. Bob currently serves on the Reset 180 Board of Directors.
The main reason we chose to be involved in Reset 180 is to have an impact at the local level in our own community. There are many well-funded government entities and non-governmental organizations that attempt to address and eradicate trafficking nationally and internationally, and many of them do great work at the macro level. However, at times it is difficult to see their impact locally.
It is community-based organizations like Reset 180 that carry the huge responsibility of working directly to support and restore human trafficking victims in our community. And it is a reflection of God's love and dignity for each one. Reset 180 also endeavors to prevent further trafficking by educating our schools, churches, businesses, and the general public about what trafficking looks like right here.
And because Reset 180 is focused locally, it is best positioned to support and be responsive to local law enforcement and government agencies in disrupting human trafficking right here in Northern Virginia. But you don't have to be a police officer or an FBI agent to do battle against this evil. Supporting Reset 180 financially or by volunteering allows all of us to be part of the mission to prevent and disrupt human trafficking in this community and restore those whose lives have been torn asunder by the traffickers. We encourage each of you to join this struggle today. Do not be a bystander.
Wow. Thank you so much to Bob and Patty. Wonderfully done. And thank you so much for your heart and your commitment to the work happening at Reset 180. Just incredible work that's already happening here. And we've got some exciting news, right? So as we get this in and we've got the video going on, we just had an anonymous donor in Ashburn who gave $10,000. Yeah. Also, we've got another anonymous partner in Arlington, Virginia who gave $12,000. So yeah, the impact of your gift, super enormous. One thing before Chelsea takes over again, and we did get some folks chiming in about the snacks that they're having. In case you want to, let's see. So Jeremy said that they've got wings and salmon. They've got chicken salad, Hawaiian rolls, deviled eggs, cocktail shrimp, wine. Jeremy and those guys may take the prize already. Let's see, who else is? Yeah, Megan says they've got some prosciutto, arugula, goat cheese, pizza. Yeah, they're doing it big there. Okay, keep sending those in, but most importantly, send in the donations. That's what, you know. Enough with the food. Let's do the money.
Yeah. Well, food and donations are both important as we're enjoying ours as well. Well, this is exciting. Look at what's already happening. Look at what Over the Community is already doing. So let's keep it going. My next challenge to you is $6,000 or just $500 a month. Are you able to give that amount? Are you able to impact lives? I want to remind you of something. As our text outreach team has really done an amazing job of getting that off the ground, we're already seeing fruit of that. I want to remind you that they can't escape the life if we can't reach them. And we need people like you, the community, to give your financial gifts so that we can continue that work, so we can continue texting them and offering them hope and love and just a kind word. So as we watch this next video, can you give $6,000? Can you give $500 a month? I pray that you will prayerfully consider that.
Hi, my name is Morgan McCory, and I'm with Passion City Church, DC. We partner with Reset 180 simply because we believe in the work that they do. We believe in their mission. We love that the work and the approach that they take is full of justice, is full of love, and is full of grace. And we love that they're not only trying to prevent sex trafficking from happening, but they're also working to disrupt these vicious cycles by helping those who are the victims and also those who are the sex buyers. We love that they do outreach and they're working to create a safe home for women to go to be whole, to be healed, and to realize that they are loved by a gracious and kind Savior. So we love partnering with Reset 180. We believe wholeheartedly in the work they do, and we're excited for what God has in store for them next.
All right. Yeah, partnering with churches like Passion City Church DC is what it's all about.
Absolutely.
You know, equipping the church to carry out love and justice for all. We've got some donations coming in, folks. Let's see. Let's thank David for his gift of $50 and James. Also, we've got Jill. This must be a really important number here, Jill. $521.68. And so thank you so much, Jill.
That means something.
That means something, right? Yeah, Katie's got $150 and Catherine with $100. Andrew donating $520. As you see, we want to go for these amounts, but don't wait to give. Start to give now. Our friend Ashlyn, $309, Doug with $200 already. They're starting to roll in. You don't want to be left out.
You do not want to be left out. You want to be part of what's going on. So I encourage you, scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen. Be a part. Remember, you are Reset 180. We might be doing the work of putting volunteer teams together and things like that, but the community is right there with us. Next, we're going to hear from Loudoun County Links, who is an organization that has partnered with us specifically in our restoration pillar. But before we go and see them, what's our next challenge? I challenge you, $2,400 or $200 a month. We need you. We need you to help us impact lives.
Greetings. I'm Amber Talbert, president of the Loudoun County, Virginia chapter of the Links Incorporated. Established in 1946, the Links Incorporated is one of the nation's oldest and largest service organizations. We strive to make an impact on our community by serving others and developing partnerships. Here I am with the National Trends and Services facet. We are excited to partner with Reset180. Our goal with Reset180 is to work with them on the Restore, R-E-S-T-O-R-E pillar to assist those individuals re-entering their communities. We endeavor to support Reset180 through a series of touch points that nurture the re-engagement process. This year, we initiated the Uplifting Restoration Program. We will grow this initiative to include restoration and encouragement tools, job search toolkits, interview preparation workshops, and donating business attire. The Loudoun County, Virginia chapter of the Links Incorporated are engaged, and we are ready to serve our community with this impactful organization. We encourage you to partner with Reset180 to help eradicate human trafficking.
All right.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Thank you, Loudoun.
Engaged and ready to serve. Thank you, Loudoun Links, for your partnership and the significant role you play in our restoration pillar. Now, as you can see, partnerships like these are critical to offer wraparound care to those women that we serve. Now, again, Chelsea put out the challenge, and so I want to say, I'm sorry.
Who took it?
Let's see. Yeah, we know we've got some people who took it. Yeah, Tracy in Leesburg. Thank you so much for your $200 a month gift. Thank you so much, Tracy. And thank you so much to the Vienna Presbyterian Church, who also donated $3,000. I'm also going to take some time to thank other people, but here's where I need help from the room. I'm going to say their name and the amount, and you just say thank you. I need help from Kay's watch party. Can I get some help from the watch party? Yeah. All right, there we go. All right, so I'll say the name, and then you guys say thank you. Let's practice our thank you, okay? 1, 2, 3. There we go. We've got Bob and Susan for $500.
Thank you.
There you go. We've got Doug for $200. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, check this out. John donated $6,000.
Wow.
You can cheer, but you got to say thank you first.
Thank you.
Now cheer.
Amen. Absolutely. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Our next level is $1,200 or $100 per month. I know that you can give $100 a month. I know that that's a financial gift that you say, yes, I can make that commitment. I can do this. Remember, that gift will affect our disruption team, our prevention team, and of course our restoration teams. Your donation affects all of it. Your donation allows us to do that work. It is your time to give now. Redux Realty is one of our business partners, and they have a powerful story to tell. As we're listening to them, think about what your circle of influence is. Where do you work? Where do you go to school? Where do you go to church? Who are your social networks? You can be the key. You can be the voice in those networks to bring freedom. And what do I mean by that? That means that you can challenge someone to learn more about it. Maybe it's the first time that they have ever heard about human trafficking. You can let them know. You can direct them to Reset180. They can volunteer. You can provide financial support tonight. And it will affect so many people. I cannot emphasize that enough. So as we listen to Redux Realty, I want you to think about what is your circle of influence? How can you fight human trafficking? Let's take a look.
Hey, my name is David Mount. I'm a real estate agent and the COO of the Redux Group of eXp Realty. My business partner and I decided to start contributing a portion of our real estate commissions to Reset180 because we so believe in the mission that they have. We love the fact that people are taking action to fight human trafficking locally and help people who have been traumatized and in extremely vulnerable situations. So we are so excited to have been able to partner with Reset180 and donate a portion of our commissions there. And we would encourage you to do the same, whether that's through your business or personally. We just have so much confidence and support in Reset180, and we hope that you join the fight as well. Thanks so much.
All right. Redux Realty, a great example for us to follow in using our professional resources, right, to make an impact to the most vulnerable in our area. So thank you to David and Chris who are here tonight with us. Listen, we've got some more thank yous. Are you guys up to saying thank you a little bit more tonight?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I hope you're not too tired because we're the ones up here standing all night. You got to sitting down, having standing, and letting y'all. It's nice. Let's say thank you. Here we go. Let's see. Shane and Sonia in DC donated $1,000 to be a key to freedom. Let's see. We've got Bruce donating $510 for it to be a key to freedom. Let's see who else. Our buddy April, $4,430 from April. Thank you so much, April. Our buddy Andrew, $120. Thank you so much, Andrew.
This is so exciting. I get so excited about these things. I wish I could explain the jitters that I have right now. Thank you so much to everyone that is giving tonight. What about $50 a month? Can you do $50 a month? What does that mean? That means that sometimes our disruption team needs help, that we can provide those resources to buyer outreach, to offer them resources for their own sexual addiction. Can you give $50 a month or $600 annually? Scan your QR code. And while you do that, let's listen to our partner video from Alex and Charlotte Marcus.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening and for your heart to consider the work and mission of Reset 180. Kay asked my wife, Shar, and I if we would be willing to share why we are passionate about Reset 180.
I'm Charlotte Marcus. For 6 years, we've been dedicated to partnering with Reset 180 and fully believe in their mission. I've always been impressed by the passion and professionalism of Kay Duffield and her staff. When we attended the first gala, it was a shock to learn that human sex trafficking was taking place in our communities of Northern Virginia. In fact, it was much closer to us than we realized, as we later learned there was a brothel in the business park within walking distance of our office. But it is reassuring that this organization is here, purposed to rescue the victims, providing physical, emotional, and spiritual support to escape their sordid existence and start fresh.
Several years ago, in November of 2016, like many of you, we were invited to the first Reset 180 Awareness Dinner. It was there that our eyes were opened up. While we had some awareness of the scourge of human trafficking globally, we typically thought of it as a third world country problem. What shocked us was learning that it was occurring right here in Northern Virginia, Fairfax and Loudoun counties, right in our own backyards. And not the stereotypical thoughts of poor or low-income areas or broken homes, but enslaving young girls and some boys from seemingly normal families, even church-going families, and with kids in good schools. That the predators were here in our community where we think our children and families are safe. It really stuck in my heart. In Luke 4, Jesus proclaims that he is the fulfillment of the scripture to bring good news to the broken, the recovery of sight to the blind, and to bring freedom to the oppressed in captivity or bondage. The good news Jesus fulfilled is for all of us. We are all spiritually blind and broken and in bondage to sin. And he came to set us free. And seeing how this trafficking was enslaving our young girls and boys just tore at my heart. A couple of months later, God put it on my heart to help organize a men's event at our church to build an awareness of the very real threat to the safety and security of their families, friends, neighbors, and communities. The event was widely attended because the issue is so very real and personal to so many, regardless of their church or faith background. This trafficking preys on the vulnerable and has no social, economic, or religious boundaries. Reset 180 has grown significantly since that time in 2016 with the help of people like you here this evening. Help for the vulnerable, intervening with those being trafficked and helping them on the path to restoration while ministering to the men or buyers. Reset 180 is making a significant impact with a big vision to do more that is desperately needed. My wife and I are committed to the work of Reset 180, and our hope is that you will consider joining us as we continue to support this crucial mission. Collectively, we can all make the difference in eradicating the scourge of human trafficking in Northern Virginia. Thank you, and may God bless you and your families.
All right. Alex and Charlotte, by the way, who are here tonight at Kay's watch party, heard of this work and moved to do something about it. And look at the impact that they have had. Their financial gifts have greatly impacted survivors and so many other people. Let's see, Leesburg Junction has donated $700 $150 to help us move into action. Guys, Chelsea talked about being excited. I mean, these gifts are coming in fast and furious, okay? So let's get some thank yous in, okay? You guys, you have to say the thank you. Maybe we won't do so many amounts. We'll just say Kathleen, Bruce, and Andrew. There we go. Oh, Lab Reality Group just donated $1,000. Mary, Mike, Mary and Mike. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. I was just startled by here. Our buddy Chris just donated $2,500. Thank you, Chris. And here's the thing about what Chelsea is doing, because sometimes when we look at one large number, it looks like a big number to give, but when you break it down per month, it makes it more manageable. I think about the $100 a month or the $50 a month. I have a habit. I play golf a lot, okay? And when I think about how much I play golf, my wife's shaking her head like I spend more than $50 a month on that. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, I'm not any good. And I don't really have a good time. I'm always frustrated and mad about how bad I am. And so, could I sacrifice one round a month, for a life to provide these basic needs for a survivor? We also eat out a lot. It's like, do we have to, so there's ways you can find, the ways to make room for the money or to give when you break the thing down like that per month.
Yeah, absolutely. Break it down. What's God putting on your heart? Maybe it's not even an amount that I've spoke of tonight. You do what the Holy Spirit tells you to do, and he will bless it and bless it and bless it, including $20 a month. I gave an example earlier about a survivor just needing to take a shower, get a change of clothes to just kind of shower the shame and guilt off of her, that we can provide that. Did you also know that a lot of times when we go out with law enforcement on a sting or some other operation, what we find over and over again is they're hungry. Can you help us provide a meal to a survivor that maybe has not even eaten in days because their trafficker has hung this over their head and says, you won't eat until I tell you to eat? Can you do that? Can you donate $20 so that we can help a survivor with just a hunger in their pain in their stomach, and offer them kindness for no other reason than that kindness and love that we have for them? This is your opportunity tonight. Scan that QR code. Stand with us as Reset 180. I said it before and I'll say it again. We're Reset 180, but you are Reset 180, including everyone that's watching tonight. You are Reset 180. Scan that code as we listen to our last partnership video.
Hi, I'm Reverend Darrell Bergen, missions pastor at First Baptist Church of Manassas, where we've decided to partner with Reset 180 to fight human trafficking in Northern Virginia. Did you know that according to the World Population Review, Virginia has had over 189 human trafficking cases reported in 2021 alone? This plague affects Virginians of all colors, genders, faiths, and backgrounds. So to fight this, we need to collect a strategy that seeks to prevent new occurrences of human trafficking, that disrupts current trafficking, and that serves to restore the victims of this plight. That's where Reset 180 comes in. Kay and her staff follow these three pillars: to prevent, to disrupt, and restore, in order to eradicate the occurrence and minimize the lasting results of trafficking in our community. But this isn't a battle that Reset 180 needs to fight alone. They need the prayers of the faith-based community, along with our volunteer efforts and donations, to assist them in removing this plague from our streets. First Baptist Church is in. Won't you join us in this fight? Contact Reset 180 today.
All right. One of these cool things about these videos is you really get to see the dynamics of the different partnerships and everybody who's kind of at play here with the work. So thank you, Reverend Darrell, First Baptist Church of Manassas. And he's right. Reset 180 can't do it alone. It's a big, complex issue, as we've been talking about tonight. It requires the community and everybody to kind of jump in with the fight, from laymen, professionals, law enforcement, the medical community, so many different people. And maybe I didn't name your profession, but it takes you to, someone with a heart of compassion, want to roll up your sleeves and do something, fight to prevent, fight to disrupt, and fight to restore. Let's do some more thank yous. How about that, right? We got some gifts coming in. Let's see. We got some monthly gifts coming in. Mary, $100 a month. We've got Mike on the Claude Jennings Play Better Golf Plan for $50 a month.
That's right.
Let's see. We've got Chris and Beverly, $400.
Thank you.
Let's see. Leonard is checking in with $50 a month. Ariana at $50, and Ashlyn at $309. A lot of thank yous. We'll say thank you all night long. If anybody, just keep giving it. We'll do this whole thing all night, right? Yeah.
One thing that I love to see is sometimes we think of like $20, $50, $100, but the numbers that are coming in, 309, sometimes the kind of off numbers specific to the donor, that means something. Maybe the Holy Spirit said 309 is the number that we need for you to give for a need that we haven't even thought of. So we thank you for being sensitive to the Holy Spirit, for going into this giving in prayer. That makes a huge difference. So get your phones ready, scan that QR code one more time. And I would like to introduce you to a video from a survivor who I've had the pleasure and honor of working with in the past. Her story starts as childhood abuse. As many of the survivors we work with, we find that out, and it quickly escalated to her being trafficked. But her story is success because Reset 180 and those in this room and watching online gave financially, and she is striving and thriving. She is able to support herself. She has a job, and more than anything, she has the confidence to move forward in her recovery and in her life. There's many more that we need to assist, though. Opening of the home, breaking ground so that we can serve more survivors. We need to be at more brothels so that we can meet those sex buyers where they are, speak life into them so that they can stop the exploitation that they're participating in. So as we listen to this survivor video, would you think about one last time where God has you to give? Where does he want you to be a part? Let's take a look.
I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse and was raised in a religious cult. Growing up in this cult, my sexual abuse was very much swept under the rug. It was really difficult because it was a family member who raped and molested me from 8 to 18. I was married at 19 out of duty and had 2 beautiful children, but very, very young. That marriage eventually became abusive, both psychologically and financially, and then ultimately deteriorated. Eventually, I met my second husband, who ultimately became my trafficker. At first, I was swept off my feet, got married, and became pregnant very, very quickly. He forced me to dance at a strip club, which at first I thought I was just supporting my family. However, I lost all control of my own finances inside the marriage because of my warped sense of duty. And it was at this time that my trafficker began physically harming me and then drugging me. He started taking me to doctors and having me claim that I had unbearable anxiety and couldn't sleep. He also began giving me illegal stimulants, so I actually was panicking. When I wouldn't take my medication, he would threaten to call CPS to report that I was a drug addict and that he would have the children taken away. He broke my neck twice, my arms twice, and for a period of time, he even kept me inside of a closet. And he would only let me out if I took the mystery medication that he was offering. I continued being exploited and trafficked through strip clubs and was referred to as the diplomat at my work because I often helped girls with guerrilla pimps escape their traffickers and worked with Vice in Dallas. I was still unaware of what was happening to me, though. I truly thought that I was in this really, really great marriage and that I was supporting my family. I thought I was ill and uncooperative. I thought I had this great husband who was just trying to cure me and keep me safe. When finally I became uncooperative, he pointed a gun at me and said, "I should have killed you years ago." I called the police and he was arrested. I was a disaster. He got out within hours and I went to my parents' house. Despite my preliminary protective order, he took away my car, harassed and intimidated me, hired private investigators to follow me. I lost every good job because he would stalk me and ruin it. I lost everything. As soon as the protective order expired, he took our daughter and threatened to kill her and I if I didn't sign an affidavit saying that I lied about him almost killing me, which was truly the worst mistake that I have ever made. I thought I had no choice and I signed it. He never returned my daughter and I didn't see her again for 3 whole years. In 2019, a young woman my trafficker was also trafficking called me. She said, "He's raping me, he's beating me, and he's forcing me to do drugs." She also told me that he was selling her to pay rent. So I dropped everything and I went back to Texas with plane tickets and a covert plan to rescue her. And I also planned on getting my daughter and her daughter. It was this huge plan I had, but he found her phone. He found her phone and he thwarted that plan. And it was an enormous mess. So I went and I took my daughter out of school and we escaped to Utah. And he eventually forged court paperwork in Texas and used that in Utah in order to have the police aid him in taking her away from me. So it was at this point that I realized that I'm not crazy though, right? It began to slowly occur to me the gravity of the trafficking and the abuse that I had actually been through. So it was at that point that I called CPS, DPS, the sheriff's office, and the governor because I wanted to burn it down. I mobilized, organized, and presented a case so solid in family court that I won my daughter without an attorney, and I got a permanent protective order for myself and my child. It was during this time that a fellow survivor told me about Reset 180, and I was referred to them. Reset 180 has been there for me through every single step of the way for this process. There was a time when I had to go to Reset 180 and sit in their office and make copies for 18 binders for the police and my family law case, and they were there every single second, all this tedious, horrible work. They're the best professionals and caseworkers in the business. And I would not have survived this period of time without new trauma and new pain if it wasn't for them. They helped me with rental assistance, groceries, therapy, my education, and so many other things that I can't even talk about them all. They were there in the middle of the night when I couldn't figure out what to do with myself, or if I was having a really hard time. They believed in me, and they believed in everything that I was doing, and they helped me move forward. I eventually won that case against my trafficker. I went back to school and became everything that my trafficker fears today. I'm a criminal profiler and a board certified human trafficking investigator. Now I get to help other survivors find the justice that they deserve.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I think Q&A starts after the screen says that it, okay. Beautiful. So before we get to the Q&A, and I'll introduce our guest, just want to say a few more thank yous if that's okay. We've got Jorge and Andrew. Thank you guys so much. Leonard, $50 a month. So again, keep the gifts coming in all night long. Even as we do our Q&A, it's a good time to kind of go on your phones, on the laptops, and do whatever you got to do to give. So let me introduce our panel here. We've got questions in for these guys tonight that were sent in. Let's see, we've got Barbara Jean Wilson, survivor of child sex trafficking and Reset 180 board member. You guys can clap for her. We saw her in the video. But remember, after every person, so after I introduce everyone, yes, but not after every question. We can, that's the only rule. We also have Bob Houston, former FBI and founder of High Research. And of course, Kay Duffield, Executive Director of Reset 180 and host of this amazing watch party, by the way. All right, so my wife's ear is there. She always helps me out with stuff. Start the stopwatch because we have a time limit for everybody. No, I'm just messing. I'm just messing around. Okay, let's start with Barbara Jean. So Teresa from Reston, wants to know what sort of hurdles do survivors have to overcome in order to do daily activities?
Well, the first hurdle for me was dealing with the anger, not trusting anyone. And what people have to understand and realize when you're sitting in a group, whether it's in church, at work, you have to be careful of some of the things that you talk about because I've actually sat in conversations where them not knowing that I was a victim of sex abuse and human trafficking, or that I was a prostitute, or that I did drugs, or that I did alcohol, the things that they would say about prostitutes and drug addicts. And, so those are the hurdles that you have to get over because I'm saying to myself, are they saying it because they see it?
Oh, right.
It's like when Kay said she took the young lady to lunch.
Are they saying it because, and this is before I had even written my book, so how would they know? Just like God speaks to me, could he be showing me to them?
Right.
You know, so those are a lot of, and even when I was at work, was just very angry. Because I was trafficked by my mother, and because, you know, in my case, which they don't talk about a lot, is familiar trafficking. You have your human trafficking, you have your familiar trafficking. And in my case, the men would come to the house. And the one time that I did have the courage to say no, he put a gun to my head and said, "No one tells me no." And it was just last year I explained to a young lady where I worked, I retired since then, but she says, "Why do you always say yes and volunteer when the people ask?" And then I explained to her that for me, no was danger. And so I always said yes. So there's a lot that victims have to go through, and not only going through it, but who can I talk to? Who can I trust? You know, will they judge me? Will they walk away from me? You know, can I go to them again? So we don't just put ourselves out there.
Right. Wow. It's amazing that that all the hurdles you had mentioned are emotional hurdles and those mental hurdles, and to have Reset 180, you know, a place that can address all those different hurdles is such a blessing. And so we'll go to Kay. Barbara had mentioned you with that interaction you had with the young lady, like you said in the video. Someone had asked, Melinda from Warrenton, she had mentioned that you've been doing this for a long time. And share a couple circumstances or an incident or two that just completely, surprised you over the years.
Yeah. Well, I could probably write a book. There have been so many things. And I have to mention just really quick before I start sharing a story that Barbara Jean's daughter, who she talked about being a baby, is here, Tawana. And she's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. Good job, Mama. Good job, Mama. So I would say probably one of the most surprising things that pop into my mind was the night that I got a call from a sex buyer. So let me explain. We had that evening had phone text outreach. It was phone outreach. Just before we started texting, we were making phone calls and talking to the victims. And this night, a particular victim was called. And so we finished up the night. We all went home. I was on call. And so I was receiving the phone calls after hours. And so I was in my bedroom, the phone rang, and it was a man on the other end. And he said, "You called a victim tonight." And I was with her. He was the sex buyer that was actually in the room with her when we called. And he said, "I want her to get help. I'm pushing her to get help. And this is why. Her trafficker is her husband, and he beats her badly often. And he was there to see it. And so the next day, he was with her, and they called again. And she actually came into the office. We connected her with law enforcement. They started investigating the case. And I will never forget that. So that's the story that I'll share.
Unbelievable.
How amazing that God stirred the heart of that sex buyer, and that we called the moment that he was there, and he followed through to make sure she got help, and she came.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that story, Kay. If we can go to Mr. Houston. Someone, let's see, Beverly from Arlington says, I heard it said that the providers in illicit massage parlors are almost all victims of trafficking. What is that based on? And what's the percentage in the research there?
Got it. Thank you for that question. And I'd like to say it's an honor to be up here with these two heroes, Barbara Jean and Kay, heroes of this movement. Great question. I think sometimes we get too caught up in in definitions. And so the question is, what percentage of what we would refer to as victim workers in illicit massage businesses or IMBs are trafficking victims? And I think a better question to ask would be, what percentage are exploited? And the answer is 100%. The illicit massage industry is a $3 to $4 billion organized crime enterprise, and very little of that $3 to $4 billion lands in the hands of the victim workers who are exploited to generate that revenue. There are 10,000 of these places in the United States. They're the public-facing part of the illicit massage industry, but behind the scenes there are an overlapping set of criminal networks that facilitate the movement of the victim workers, the procurement of the victim workers. These women oftentimes are moved regularly between IMBs within a locality and to different cities. They're in a coercive environment at the very least, even if not in every case would they meet a legal definition of trafficking. But it's a 100% exploitative environment. The money that is generated does not go into the hands of the victim workers. It goes into the hands of the exploiters.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Before we move to the next question, I want to stay with you.
Sure.
We just had 2 more donations come in. Fred, $1,500. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you. And April confirmed this is a different Fred, but he gave $3,000. Thank you, Fred. And Robin, a $500 gift. So thank you guys so much. Wow. So yeah, Bob, we'll stay here with you. We've had Marie in Fairfax. I'm a hospital nurse, she says, working in a mother-baby setting. In the past, I noticed 2 women from Honduras came through several months apart, having babies, both working for a quote-unquote cleaning company. The women were poor. What drew my attention was their unique mountain dialect that interpreters had trouble understanding. She says the second woman had a wealthy woman come visit. It was very odd to me and made me suspect that both of these women were trafficked. How would I go about reporting a hunch that I'm having? And is she limited by HIPAA regulations?
Okay. Thank you again for that question. That's kind of a multi-layered one. The first thing I would say is, after 9/11 on the terrorism front, there was a phrase that we used, and it was, if you see something, say something. And that applies in this arena as well. So I would always come down on the side of reporting something, even if you're not 100% sure it's a crime, even if you're not, even if you're maybe a little embarrassed by what you're seeing. Err on the side of reporting that to law enforcement. And the reason for that is you don't know what law enforcement knows. So your observation that you think may not be particularly significant, you don't know that law enforcement hasn't had, a dozen similar reports. You don't know what other intelligence they may be receiving about a scheme that's going on, and your little piece of that, the piece that you observed, could be a crucial part. You don't know what information may have been received from foreign governments, for example, about a trafficking pipeline into the United States that this would fit the pattern of. So err on the side of making a report. Secondly, how would you make the report was part of the question. There are a number of ways to do that. You can do it online with the FBI or with HSI, Homeland Security Investigations. Nearly every local police department and sheriff's office these days has an online portal to make reports. You can also call. If you want to do it anonymously, believe it or not, you can still write a letter, and the FBI receives an awful lot of mail that way. The other option is always the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and the operators or those that are receiving the calls are trained in just about every scenario to take the information, to ask the right questions, and then to get that to the right law enforcement agency. So err on the side of reporting, and there are a number of different ways to report to a local field office of the federal agencies or to a local police department. The HIPAA question is a more difficult one, and I'm not an expert in that. I would say that by most estimates, 50% at least of trafficking victims in the United States will come in contact with healthcare professionals in a hospital setting, a doctor's office, EMTs, a clinic. And so medical professionals really are on the front lines of observing these things. HIPAA does restrict some reporting. In most states, probably in all states, if you have a minor who is observed as a potential trafficking victim, there's likely an obligation to report regardless of HIPAA. If it's an adult, it gets a little bit more complicated, but that would be something to talk to the HIPAA official. Every medical office, hospital has someone who is an expert in that. Talk to that person or to a lawyer about the reporting requirements there. But usually if you're making a report to law enforcement about a possible crime, you're protected. And I'd recommend doing that when you see something like this that just arouses your suspicion as a healthcare professional.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Let's go to Barbara Jean Wilson. We've got Lily from Manassas, and you actually mentioned this a little bit earlier. From a survivor's perspective, she wants to know, what would you like the church to know so the church can be a safe place for survivors?
Before I answer that question, can I mention something when it comes to the police officers? The one time that I ran away, and this is why victims don't trust. The one time that I did run away, my mother came with the police, and I was screaming and crying and saying I didn't want to go home with her. I wanted to go to my father. And my father's like, why can't she come with me? And the police officer said, you have to take that up with family court. Not once did the police officer question why I was screaming and crying, why I didn't want to go home with my mother. And in my case, because she was bringing men to me, I saw him as someone that paid her.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's why for victims, it's hard to even, trust law enforcement officers. But going to your question as far as the church, a lot of churches don't want to talk about human trafficking, sexual abuse. They don't even want to talk about domestic violence. And they should. I won't mention my church that I go to, but I've brought it to my pastor's attention quite a bit. And his answer to me was, nobody wants to hear that. The sad part, what we found out later as far as the church members, and it was sometime last year, the minister of music who taught in a school in Richmond, elementary, he was brought out in handcuffs by Homeland Security for distributing, taking photos of children. And so, again, it opened the door for me to speak to my pastor and say, you know what, you need to reach out to the parents, because with him being the minister of music and with this happening to other kids, how do we know that he hasn't done it to the kids in the church? I don't need to go take them through that. So that's why I say, even when it's happening under their noses, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to have you speak about it. And it could be a lot of reasons why for them, maybe it could be opening up old wounds, but we've also been hearing a lot in the church as far as, whether it's a priest, whether it's a rabbi, they've been getting caught up in stings when it comes to, sexual, human trafficking, child sexual abuse. And so that's another reason why I believe the churches don't want to talk about it. And I told them, you'd be surprised how many men and women within our church, because I also sent out a devotional email every morning. And a lot of them will respond and say, thank you for being our voice. They want to talk, but no one wants to listen.
And well, and to Lily's, question, just to push it a little more, even in a situation like that where it may be shut down, like what, maybe it is that personal one-on-one talk. You talk about the emails you send out. Maybe it is talking to folks who want to talk about it, who want to do something. And I'm not a problem starter, but I've been known to start a few problems. Just because someone doesn't want to talk about it on some sort of senior leadership level doesn't mean that people can't talk about it elsewhere.
But
and because if that's happening and people want to,
and that's true, but still, the church is also the place where you should be able to go
exactly
and speak to the leader of the church, because you speak about everything else. You speak about people living together that's not married. You speak about gays and lesbian that's not in the Bible, but you're not talking about human trafficking. You're not talking about sexual abuse, and that needs to be talked about because it is happening in the church.
I think the answer is push the issue. Talk about it even if they don't want to talk about it. Okay, I don't want to get in trouble. Let me move to the next question. my wife will tell you I get in trouble going off script, especially talking about the church. Let me stop. Let's come back to Kay. Kay, this is almost like a similar question. Is that me? Kay, this is almost a similar question from Scott in Alexandria, and we'll wrap up with this question. What can I do in my community to be the key to someone's freedom?
Well, I just have to follow up with Barbara's answer and say thank you to those churches, as Alex Marcus shared earlier in his partner video, that he organized. And I can tell you that because I was there hiding behind the scenes because it was a men's event about this issue and it was packed. So thank you to those who are doing something, who aren't afraid to speak up. And so, yeah, come on. Thank you. Thank you to those pastors. Thank you to those leaders. And how can you be a key? My goodness, you've seen so many different opportunities, but I have to say this, pray and ask God how he wants you to be a key. And what are you passionate about? Because if you're not passionate and we stick you somewhere that something you don't enjoy, you're not going to stick to it. But I can tell you, we have so many opportunities. You can go on Sexpire Outreach with us without any commitment at all. Just come right along, see what it's like. Pray in the car with the people that are going out. Go to our website, reset180.com, to our volunteer page. We have options of positions that we need to fill. We need to increase our prayer team. There's so many opportunities. And we would love to have you as a volunteer. Please continue to partner with us. But being here or watching online, you are already engaging and you are already making an impact. So thank you.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where, like, once you're engaged or once you kind of encounter this, it's like you want to do more. And like Kay said, go to the website. Even tonight, the giving hasn't stopped. You can continue to give. We just had Kathy, who committed to $20 a month. She just checked in on Facebook, $20 a month. Thank you so much, Kathy. And again, if you haven't given a financial gift, there's still time to do so. I believe they're going to put the QR code on half of the screen here, so you can kind of scan that to make an impact in the lives of survivors, and just not the survivors, but I mean the outreach to sex buyers. That's really aggressive, and that's how you know the heart is here in the work. It's been a great night. Kay, if you have anything else you want to say before we close out, feel free to.
Thank you. And we genuinely mean that. All of the board of directors, all of the staff, all of the volunteers, thank you. Thank you for joining us in this work. It has never been about one person. It has always been about the church in the DMV region rising up and being God's hands and feet. And you are doing it tonight. Thank you.
Absolutely. Be sure to give tonight. Thank you so much, Kay. Thank you to everyone at the watch party. James, we're going to find a way to get you the little flower, or Kay's going to find a way to get you the flower for winning the food contest. Continue to give tonight, and even because tonight, we want you to give tonight. But even if tomorrow you get up, like, oh, I forgot to, and you can go online and do all that stuff all throughout the year. I mean, because the work is happening. And absolutely. There we go. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for your time tonight. It's been another wonderful evening at Reset with Reset 180.
Thank you.
Let's go.
So when we first heard about Reset 180, what was it, like 6 or 7 years ago, we were initially just shocked that this was going on in our neighborhood.
So we decided to do 3 things. Pray for the whole community, not only the people that were being exploited, but also the people that were doing the exploitation and our politicians and the whole community. We decided to donate our financial resources. And lastly, we decided to serve.
Yeah, we really love the idea, the mission really of Reset 180 is to prevent and to disrupt this evil that's going on, but also to restore the people that have been affected by it.
This is a situation that we, not just 1 or 2 people get behind, but all of us need to get behind.
All right. So TJ just came to me and said, now that everyone's off the stage, give your closing remarks. I told him I thought I already gave them. But everyone enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to see if I got the to-go. See here, hold up. My wife, hold up. I got the to-go box. Oh, they took care of me tonight. I'm going to eat that. I'm not even going to leave before I'm going to eat that before we leave. But everybody have a great night. Continue to spread the word. Go to the website. And like our sister Barbara Jean said, if people don't want to talk about it, keep talking about it and keep putting action, and give. Thank you guys so much for a wonderful night. And Kay, I'll be offended if you don't invite me back next year. Just so you know. See you, everybody. I'll be low-key offended, but it's fine.